and welcome to ESI Africa Insights. Today in studio, we've got Deerosh Maharaj. He is the Executive Head for Energy, Infrastructure and Mining at Standard Bank. Hello, Deerosh.
Hello, Teresa.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you for inviting us, and thank you to your viewers for watching this.
It's always great talking to Standard Bank, but I'm actually quite curious, why have you chosen to sponsor Enlit Africa, and what does this partnership mean for you and your clients?
Teresa, thank you. That's a good question, and I think if you look at the fact that we've sponsored Enlit now for the third year in a row as a platinum sponsor, it should allude to the fact that the relationship goes a little bit deeper than just Enlit. I think it goes to the point of our relationship with the organizers being VUCA. And if you look closely at that relationship and how it's developed, it embodies the spirit of partnership. So there are some key elements to that. So VUCA is an influence agency. Standard Bank is a bank. But despite our differences as organizations, I think the agendas that we drive in the background are very similar. And as organizations, our vision and values as it pertains to the energy and water space are very well aligned. So when you look at VUCA as an organization and all of their interests, you look at the African Green Economy Summit, you look at Enlit, you look at the CNI and Storage Summit and the e-mobility movement, as well as the very important topic of the Women in Energy agenda that's being driven in a separate platform. These all resonate with Standard Bank. And I think because of that alignment, Enlit is a landmark conference that we're proud to be sponsors of and associated with.
Thank you for that affirmation. So speaking of energy and waste and water, why is Standard Bank interested in those sectors? And then what are the bespoke offerings you can give to your clients in that space?
So, Teresa, another good question, and thank you for that. So for us, energy and water are inextricably linked. One cannot exist without the other. Both are essential for any economy to thrive, any nation to thrive, any community to thrive. You can't do without these essential inputs. Our discussion goes, our interest goes broader than that, though. I think it goes into a more pertinent collective value chain, being energy, waste, and water. So when you think about clients' immediate concerns in the space, if a small to medium enterprise looks to operate in the South African market, top of the agenda would be the cost of energy or the cost of water. Water is a growing cost. Those days of cheap energy and cheap water are gone. And optimization and efficiency are absolute important considerations for a business. So in that environment, cost has always been a major concern and consideration. And for us, we've seen a lot of purpose in trying to support clients in their transition to alternatives and in their transition to optimizing when it comes to water. Waste, to a large extent, is an untapped value chain, right? It's an area that I think will receive a lot of pressure in the coming years, and especially as it pertains to one of the other major drivers, which is sustainability. So all of this is linked. I think, the supply side of it is also a challenge. We have failing infrastructure. We've seen in energy how load shedding has impacted businesses and the market. And should those challenges recur or intensify, businesses need to be ahead of the curve. So for us, we find a lot of purpose in supporting businesses in that regard, in terms of the solutions they require. But what's very important to that value chain are the operators in that environment. So you have the clients that need these services and solutions, but then you also have the value chain operators. So you have engineering, procurement, and construction companies, you have the OEMs, you have the distributors. And as a bank, if you are truly going to play an enablement function and add value, you need to understand that value chain and have the relevant solutions in place to service all clients across that value chain, not just the offtake of the solutions. So that, in a nutshell, I think is why Standard Bank is so interested in the energy, waste, and water environment. And it again links to this important conference.
Right. So you mentioned sustainability as a key driver. Now, how does Standard Bank enable its clients within that space, sustainability?
So, Teresa, how do you eat an elephant, right? I think it's that type of a question you've asked me now. Sustainability is a large, all-encompassing topic, right? It's not linear. So for us, we've had to pick our battles, and I think what's most critical for us, and in terms of our hierarchy of priorities, sustainability is a major driver. We have to acknowledge that. We see the carbon borders emerging that are cornering certain products out of the market, making our clients in some instances uncompetitive. So for us, high on our priority list is to identify those clients, find those clients that are exposed to these risks, and have the necessary discussions, especially those that aren't aware, and to a large extent, many of them aren't aware of these risks that they potentially face. Have the discussion, share the knowledge we have, and make the introductions where necessary to assist them transition, and then fund them if there is a requirement for that. So that's high on our priority list. But we are looking at a more integrated way to service the entire market, because this will touch the entire market eventually. And we're looking at ways that we can package the knowledge and awareness that we've accumulated over the years and share it more broadly, even with the small and micro businesses, so that they can benefit from it as they build their businesses, gear up in a way that insulates them from these risks.
Yeah. Now, I know you've got quite a wide-ranging portfolio, and I'm curious, in all these different companies that you get to meet, what kind of technologies are you seeing helping these industries when it comes to finding solutions in this energy, water, waste space?
Teresa, thanks. That's a nice question. I think, we learned about Moore's law in our academic studies, and it's good to see in energy, we see that playing out very accurately. If you look at batteries are the future of energy to a large extent. The drop we've seen in the price of batteries year on year is remarkable. It's very encouraging. It's a shift in the right direction for everything that we hope to see in the coming months and years. If you look at solar PV panels, 2 years ago, it was literally double the price of what it is now. So where the market stabilized in terms of pricing for solar PV panels, 2 years ago, it was literally double that price. So in the water and waste environment, we're not seeing, while there is remarkable traction, we're not seeing as much traction where we see those economies of scale coming into play, but they'll certainly play out that way as well. I believe so.
Right. And then because you really just meet so many people, what are some of the challenges and opportunities you are seeing that you as Standard Bank help your clients overcome?
So I alluded to this earlier. I think the largest challenge to overcome in this part of this life cycle of sustainability is knowledge and awareness. Yeah, as we engage, it sounds foreign to us because we are entrenched in the environment. But when you go into the field, you meet actual clients and you engage with them, you realize that the knowledge isn't actually out there about this major global trend of sustainability and the risks that they pose, as well as the opportunities that they bring with them. So that I think is a major challenge. So one of the other challenges that the small to medium enterprise operators face when it comes to energy and water is that by the very nature of these energy and water solutions environments being very new, there's a lot of fragmentation. So you have multiple operators in the space rushing in, particularly in energy. Some of them are not necessarily up to the task or still on a path to being what we would refer to as a credible operator. And they cause a lot of reputational damage, and that creates a lot of mistrust. So for us to solve those challenges, we have invested time and effort in understanding that market, understanding what makes a good operator in each of those value chains, and making sure that we have them in our repository of partners, so that when a client approaches us, we can connect the dots for them.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing your bit to spread the word about sustainability.
Thank you, Teresa.
And thank you for joining us. Please stay tuned for the next episode.